What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show. The best place for everything fantasy football. Every episode gets you one step closer to the goal of winning your fantasy football championship. From rankings, breakouts, sleepers, best ball drafts, DFS plays. If winning is your objective, this is the place to be. Let's piece the puzzle together and get you that trophy. Here's your host, SleezBall, right here on My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Welcome into episode 21, everybody. I am your host, SleezBall. Today, we're going to be going over my 7 players that I'm absolutely bullish on, and the last one you have to wait and see because today was absolutely crazy what happened. So these are going to be players that I'm going to list at ADP that you're going to look at. I'm going to use Fantasy Pros because I like their platform as the best to all around manage the average ADP of each platform. I know it's different, but I like to keep theirs in the medium in the middle. So when I dive into these players here, these are going to be players that I am drafting way higher than ADP, and you should be as well. And before we dive into it, guys, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. All the support is appreciated. I try to bring you the best fantasy football content to help you win your championships, and let's get it popping. The first player that you should be absolutely bullish on higher than his ADP, which is 106 right now, is Jared Goff. And it's insane to me why this is happening. He is QB7 last year, 4,575 passing yards, 30 passing TDs, 12 picks, 21 yards on the ground, even 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, finished as QB7, right? Going off the board right now is QB13. They get Ben Johnson to come back as the offensive coordinator. He wants to run it back for another Super Bowl. Now you get the Lions with the 7th easiest schedule at the quarterback position and 14 out of 18 games in a dome this season. And this offense last year, think about this. They supported 5 players that were top 15 last year. So Jared Goff is QB7, Amon-Ra is wide receiver 3, Sam Laporta is tight end 1, Jahmyr Gibbs is running back 10. I hope his injury isn't bad. The update was crazy. David Montgomery was running back 13, and he missed a couple games. He would have been a top 10 running back. And now you have another weapon that the camp is hyping up in Jameson Williams. I don't know if I buy it yet, but man, if he looks like the way he did in college and how explosive he was, they will be an absolute nightmare to stop offensively. And now you have to look at this as well. The Lions now last year had a very bad defense. Now they're ranked in the PFF top 10 of defenses according to and Bleacher Report. So I use them both. They're 10 and 12 across a couple, platforms. So I'll take the medium in the middle and take 15, which is going to give their offense more opportunities. Now, these are Jared Goff metrics right here, okay? These are all top 10 QB metrics. In passing yards, he was second. Passing TDs, he was fourth. Passing attempts, he was second. Red zone attempts, he was 4th. Yards per average per throw, he was 9th at 7.6. Accuracy, 6.7, he was 6th. True completion percentage, 74%, he was 5th. Deep ball completion percentage, 48%, he was 6th. Play action completion percentage, 62.5, he was 8th. True passer rating, 101.4, he was 8th. How is this man going off the board at QB 12 with all top 10 metrics? It's absolutely insane. He had 7 games of 20-plus points last year, 1 game over 30-plus points last year. This man is going to win you championships in this round. It is absolutely nuts to me how he's going off the board this late in drafts. The second player you should be absolutely bullish on is James Cook, currently going off the board at ADP 38. So if you play in a 12-man league right at the beginning of round 4, and I'm telling you to jump up higher, and here is why. Let me explain. So last year, finished RB12, 237 attempts, 1,122 yards, 2 touchdowns, 445 yards through the air, and 4 TDs. Now, I know his goal line work is a problem. I expect that to jump up this year. They're not going to use Josh Allen as much as they say. Josh Allen will still get his touchdowns, yeah. But let's dive into it here. Ken Dorsey was the offensive coordinator last year for the first 10 weeks of the Bills, and James Cook only averaged 10.6 points per game. They're 5-5, so they're like, all right, let's switch it up. Let's bring in a new OC. They bring in Joe Brady week 11. From week 11 to week 18, James Cook averaged 15 points per game, and the Bills were 6-1 during that time. Why? Because they leaned on their run game more. Now, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are both out of town, which equates to 241 vacated targets. We all know how good Cook is in the passing game. Expect these numbers to boom this year. So if you think about it, they bring in Keon Coleman, they draft Keon Coleman, they bring in Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir. That is their core right now, okay? Dalton Kincaid will probably see the most targets as well. But these numbers are not going to be filled of a Stephon Diggs by Keon Coleman or Curtis Samuel. There's going to be a lot more passing work for James Cook, and it's absolutely bonkers. Now, 2023 running back metrics where he's top 10 in. Attempts, 237, 10th. Rushing yards, 1122. 4th. Receiving yards, 445. 8th. Yards per route run, 1.67. 6th. Yards per reception, 10.1. 2nd. Yards per touch, 5.6 yards per touch. That was 5th. EPA was plus 22.2. That was 3rd. Now, if he can just convert the red zone, this man is going to be an absolute steal. And if you watch the preseason game 1 with the starters, he played 100% of the snaps. I don't want to hear any Ray Davis thing. I'm tired of hearing about these rookie running backs class. It's not as good as people think. I've been telling people for years, James Cook is going to explode this season. The third player that you should be majorly bullish on in your drafts this season is Jerome Ford, and this one, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. It's just absolutely crazy. His current ADP is 116, okay? This guy finished his RB17 last year, 204 attempts, 813 yards, 4 TDs, okay? He also had 319 receiving yards to go along with it. Now, why I'm so bullish on him, let me explain, okay? So he finished last season as RB16. Like I said, he's going off the board as RB40 right now. Nick Chubb is coming off a gruesome knee injury that we all saw and just shivered when you saw his knee pop. Double ACL surgery on the pup right now. Now, I'm never going to judge a man's work ethic to come back. You see Nick Chubb putting crazy work in, benching this, lifting that, squatting this. Still, it's not taking contact. It's not getting hit. It's not gameplay. I think he's going to be on the pup till about week 8 and probably not even fully healthy till about week 10. Now you have Deonta Foreman, who was helicoptered out of practice. He came back, looks good to go. Absolutely crazy that he came back that fast. Now, if you can think about getting a guy at running back 40 who is going to produce this amount of numbers, what are we talking about here? You also have to think here that the Cleveland Browns have a top 5 ranked offensive line and a number 1 defense to go along with it to get the ball back, all ranked by PFF. Okay, so here's another thing that's crazy. Last season, Jerome Ford never saw over 70% snaps but once in the game and was still a top 17 running back. I firmly believe that he showcased his skills enough last season to see a 65 to 70% range until Chubb comes back. Now, these are top 20 metrics that he had last year. So the Browns also ran 30.2 run plays per game, which was 4th in the NFL. He had 9 TDs, which was 12th. His receiving yards was 15th. He had 63 targets, that was 14th. Yards per route run was 1.3. He was 19th. He ran 245 routes, which is 18th. And he created 3.54 yards per touch, which was 20th. These are all top 20 metrics, and this guy's going off the board at RB40. He faced a stuff run rate of 27.5% last season, which was 3rd in the NFL because Deshaun Watson was out, and we all know that Joe Flacco is an absolute statue that defenses do not worry about. This is one of my favorite steals in the draft right now, and will be a serviceable RB2 weekly until Nick Chubb is back, and you should be smashing this pick. The fourth guy I want to talk about that you should be bullish on this season in your drafts is Chase Brown. Now, I'm not even going to look at his numbers. RB66 finished, 44 attempts, 179 yards. Joe Mixon was there. Joe Mixon was a top 5 RB finisher overall. The man sees 70% snap share, which is what you're going to like coming into this, but I'll get to that later. Okay, so currently going off the board at ADP 115, around running back 38. He is shooting up boards, so you expect that ADP to get a little higher right now. They bring in Zach Moss, who looked good last season when Jonathan Taylor was out. He was RB5 for that first 4 weeks of Jonathan Taylor's holdout, but you also have to remember that the Colts had a very, very top 2 to 3 offensive line last year, so he was running through massive holes that were opening 100%. Now, the Bengals offensive line this year ranks 21st according to PFF, which means Zach Moss ain't going to be having those holes. Now, if you could play this is what the offensive lineman Orlando Brown says. If I could play fantasy football, I'd take him as my first running back. He's going to have a special year. Yeah, that is far-fetched, but you have to love hearing that from a teammate of a guy that is this far down on the board. Now, he's been the star of training camp. Head coach Zach Taylor fires up how hard of a worker he is in every single press conference, saying that he's earned his role first in the building, first out the building. Now he's taking reps over Moss as the first starter right now. I know that Moss has been out sick, right? So we know that he didn't play in the preseason game. I get all that, okay? Now, if you look ahead here, now Joe Mixon caught 187 balls over the past 3 years. That is averaging 62.3 a year. What does Chase Brown excel in? The pass game. This is going to be very fun to watch this season. And we don't even know what's happening with Jamar Chase's holdout right now. He wasn't even at practice today. I'm fully thinking that the contract's going to happen. But what if he doesn't get out there? And you're getting this guy at even a later value. This would be insane. He would see so much passing work. It's going to be nuts. And his value is absolutely bonkers. This is a smash pick 100%. I'm willing to go up 1 or 2 rounds to get this guy ahead. Here we go. Evan Ingram. Why you should be so bullish on this man. This is going to be one of my favorite ones to talk about here. And you're going to see a 3 next to his name. And I'll get to that at the end of this clip on him. Okay. So he finishes last year tight end 2, 114 receptions, 963 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 receptions off the NFL record last year. Now, how does a man that finishes tight end 2 get drafted off the board at tight end 9 at ADP 73 to about 71 right now? Let's talk about it. Calvin Ridley is gone, headed to Tennessee, leaving 136 vacated targets. Do we really think that Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis are going to fill these targets? Probably. Maybe 60 to 70% of them, okay? Now, with the 114 receptions he had last year, I am calling it right now. I've said this in other videos as well, because I love Evan Ingram. He's been on a lot of my videos, that he is going to break the NFL tight end record held by Zach Ertz at 116 this year. Trevor Lawrence was hampered with injuries through all 2023 with his little ankle injury, which is why Travis Etienne numbers were so bolstered this last year, which I didn't think was going to happen at all. T-Law is now back healthy. Their offensive line is a little worried. It ranks 23rd according to PFF, but T-Law can scramble. He can make things happen out of the pocket. Now, Evan Ingram, top 10 tight end metrics are coming. Write these down, okay? 4 of these metrics, he is number 1 overall in. 3 of these tight end metrics, he is number 2 overall in. 13 of these metrics, he is top 10 in. So think about that. 7 metrics, he's top 2 in. 6 other metrics, he's top 10 in, and he's being drafted around tight end 10. Make it make sense, but let's talk about it. So 143 targets, first. 114 receptions, first. Receiving yards, 963, third. Target share, 28.3%, second. I expect that to be in the 30% range this season, probably the number 1 most targeted tight end. Snap share, 80.1%, seventh. He even plays in the slot, guys. 414 slot snaps. That is number 1. He ran 603 routes. That is number 1. He participated in 97.5% of the routes. That is number 2. He had 8 deep targets. That's number 3. He had 516 yak yards. That's number 2 in the NFL. YPPR, yards per route run, 1.6, ninth in the NFL. He even had a juke rate of 11.4%, which was number 1 in the NFL. The only thing, that's the lowest one he had, was his dominator rating, and zone coverage was 20.2%, which is 10th. That's not a big problem at all. Now, if you're paying attention to these numbers, this is criminally undervaluing Evan Ingram this season, and he is going to win you a championship. And why that number 3 is at the top is because I am willing to take Evan Ingram in the 3rd round of drafts. That's how high his value is. It should not be this late, and you should be smashing this pick. 6th guy that you should be smashing this ADP value of 203 in your drafts is Ben Sinnott. So obviously he doesn't have a tight end finished. He's a rookie. So we're going to look at his Kansas State numbers from last year. 676 yards, 6 receiving touchdowns, even 12 rushing yards and a rushing TD. Now, his RAS score, 9.73. We'll get to that later, okay? So currently going off the board as tight end 20, but this is all about to change. You have to think about this as well. Zach Ertz is 33 years old. He will turn 34 in November. Since Zach Ertz has turned the age of 30, In 2020, he missed 5 games. 2021, he only missed 1 game. 2022, 8 games. 2023, 11 games. Total of 25 games missed over the past 4 years. That is an average of 6.25 per game. If he misses any time this year, Sanat is going to explode onto the scene, and he is never going to look back. Now, people also forget, these are more college accolades here. He was the John Mackey semifinalist for the best tight end. And like, people forget that. Invitee to the Reese Bowl, invitee to the Senior Bowl, invitee to the East-West Shrine Bowl. And my favorite thing is that he's been all academic every single year. The man has a brain. Okay, that is very hard to find sometimes. So usually athletic talent, sometimes the brain is better. Okay, Commanders bring in Cliff Kingsbury as a new offensive coordinator, who the last time he was with Zach Ertz, guess what? That was the last time Zach Ertz was relevant at tight end. He has ran a top 5 paced offense in the NFL, which is going to be electric for the Commanders' play per game rate. Now, they draft Jaden Daniels, who, my goodness, in the first drive of the preseason game, he was exactly what I thought he would be. Dropping dimes in, running. Now, the offensive line is a little worrisome thing here. They do rank 27th against PFF. PFF ranks them 27th. And shout out to PFF and all they do. I use a lot of their content. They're one of my favorite things to look at for everything. All the work they do is amazing. Now, if you watch the preseason game that just happened, he had limited work. He saw 3 targets, 3 receptions, 57 yards, and you saw a 44-yard catch across the middle where he took it for the yak of about 30 yards, weaving through defenders, breaking tackles. Looks like a little Kittle swag in him, which I absolutely love because I love Kittle so much. And if you're not drafting this guy at ADP 200 or even 2 rounds above that, you may be missing out on a league-winning tight end, because I don't even think Zach Ertz has to get hurt for him to take this job. I think talent will eventually take over in this job. And guess what rookie QBs like the most is their security blanket. This is an insane value play to me. Smash, smash, smash. Last but definitely not least, the guy you should be smashing on, and man, this morning was crazy. I dropped my full tweet on why I'm so bullish on Tyrone Tracy, and within 1 second of when I dropped that tweet, he's getting carted off. Hopefully, right now the updates look good, so it doesn't look like a major injury right now. Nothing's official, but that's the updated word out of the Giants right now. So I'm redoing this video because I had this video done before with the injury. So this is a redo right now, and we're going to go over it here, why I love the wide receiver converted running back in college, Tyrone Tracy Jr., so much this season. So first of all, his relative athletic score last season, or in the combine, 9.78 out of a possible 10, ranking him 42nd out of 1,903 running backs from 1987 to 2004. Insane athletic ability running back that they got in the 5th round, okay? These are noticeable 2024 class ranks that he had last season. Yards after contact, first, 4.4. Broken tackles per touch, 0.18, third. 46 forced missed tackles, 4th. 6th in yards per attempt at 6.3. Those right there are all top 10 metrics, just gameplay. Now let's go to the NFL Combine and look what he did here. 4.48 second 40 time, 82nd percentile. He benched 20 reps, 71st percentile. Not great there. He's not a big guy, right? So that's obviously normal. Short shuttle, 4.06, 93rd percentile. Vertical jump, 40 inches, 94th percentile. 3-cone drill, 89th percentile. Absolutely nuts what he can do athletically. Just think about all those numbers right now, okay? Now, so college career, right? Converted from an Iowa wide receiver to a Purdue running back, okay? Freshman year in Iowa, only 36 receptions, but look at this, 589 yards on 36 receptions. Look what he does after he catches the ball. 3 TDs that year. Sophomore year gets hurt, small year, 154 yards, 1 TD. Junior year, 15 receptions, 106 yards, 1 TD. Transfers to Purdue. Purdue realizes it's time to make him a running back. 17 attempts, 138 yards, 28 receptions, 198 yards. Wasn't the starter then. Senior year gets the starting job. 716 yards, 8 TDs, 132 yards on the ground. And Purdue is not good at football, let's be honest. Now, He is behind Devin Singletary, who has been steady Eddie, never gets hurt. He's always consistent, but we know that Devin Singletary is nothing really special. Why I love Tyrone Tracy Jr. so much is because I look at it like this. When the Giants are going to be out of contention, which they are this season, right? They're going to be looking at what they have in their younger players. And I'm telling you right now, the minute that Tyrone Tracy Jr. gets anything near a starting role, he is never going to look back with this job. It does, all depend on this injury, which is crazy to me right now, that the air cast and lifted off of a kick return and all that seems to be fine. But man, if you watched his preseason action, his breaking tackles, his yak, everything in open space, I know it's preseason, but this man is so electric, and I've been so high on him for so long, and it's finally coming to fruition, and you should be too. You should be able to draft him about 2 rounds earlier. I know the injury is probably going to drop him, so if that even affects his ADP to drop him lower and he's still back week 1, you're getting an absolute steal. Smash this pick. That is it for a short, quick episode 21 on players that I feel like you should be bullish on their ADP and move up your draft boards to draft higher than normal. And this is how you're going to win championships. It is taking those shots, guys. You cannot just follow the board. You have to be dialed on the players you like the most and be willing to take the shot to go get them. Now, before we dive into what's going to happen for tomorrow's video, guys, make sure you smash that like and subscribe. I'll be doing shows, rankings, everything season by season, start 'em, sit 'em. I'll help you with your rosters, everything 2 hours live before every kickoff of every game. All the support is appreciated, guys. I put a ton of work into this. And my next video, so this video was people I'm going higher on the board for. My video tomorrow will be 10 players that I'm lower on ADP with and that you should be drafting or not drafting and letting their value fall. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. All the support has been amazing. SleezBall out.